Hello, everyone. My name's Henry Widders, and today I'm chairing a talk from Ian Leahy, who's going to be discussing his research into the flat Earth theory. It's about a 1 hour, 15 minutes presentation, and then we'll do a Q&A. So looking forward to it, Ian, and thanks for agreeing to take part. So I'll give the floor to you. And can I just ask everyone on the meeting to mute yourselves and then save your questions for the end? And feel free to put some questions in the message in the chat, and then I can read those out at the end. Okay, Ian, it's all yours.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so let's start. I'm hoping you can all see the hello screen. My name's Ian. Some of you have seen me before, some of you have looked for me online. I am a flat earther. I'm a flat earth researcher and presenter. So thank you all for coming to watch the presentation today, which is on the history of flat Earth. About 8 years ago now, I stumbled across one of the greatest deceptions over mankind there's ever been. I'm not the first to discover it. It's not a new topic. It's not a new subject. And I definitely won't be the last, of course. But before we start, everything that I present here, you can fully research yourself. I would rather you not take my word for it. I'd rather you go and research it all yourself. The presentation is the history of flat Earth. It's about an hour and a half, possibly hour 15, hour 20. I'll see how I can get through it a little bit quicker. Questions at the end, obviously, because most of the stuff should be within the presentation that you need. Right, so about this truth and reality. So what is truth and reality? You know, reality really is where we use our senses, our God-given senses, to work out where we are, and we work out the reality of our surroundings. For example, if you were just placed on this plane, you'd work out you weren't moving, you work out you weren't spinning. If you saw a fire, you'd touch it, you'd work out it would burn. You literally build an understanding of your world through your senses. The problem is we have something else called truth. Now, truth is slightly different. It's something that we take for granted, perhaps, by men in power, the academia, by which everything seems to be judged these days, but more so with television. And we sort of believe things that we've never experienced. You know, you're brainwashed and programmed into believing a narrative or a situation that you've never heard of, never experienced, because it's on the telly, it's got to be right. And sometimes we like to hold on to these comforting lies rather than face the unpleasant truth. It's easier to get on with our day. How's it going to affect me? Blah, blah, blah. And for some people a lot, it does cause something called cognitive dissonance. It's when people hold on to a strong core belief or a program or a brainwash, and they defend it to the death. And when new information is presented against that belief, you get a neurological thing inside of you called cognitive dissonance. And it's really, you ignore everything and deny anything that doesn't fit with that core belief. Not very healthy, but we've all suffered from it. So there you go. This is where we live. This is where most people think they live. And it's at this point I sort of say, well, look, you know, this is where we live. We know we live there. We've always known we live there. We can't remember when, but of course we live there. So I ask at this point, I say, well, look, because we know we live there, everyone must know something about it, right? Must know everything about it. We've known all our lives. So I ask the first question is, you know, what's the circumference of it? How big is it? And you end up with a deaf audience because they don't know. And so I ask another one, I say, well, listen, how fast does it rotate? How fast is it supposed to rotate? And how fast is it moving through the galaxy? You know, and the answers to those, if you don't know, the circumference is 24,901 miles. That's what they tell us. They tell us it spins at 300 miles an hour, faster than the speed of sound at the equator, 1,040 miles an hour. And they tell us that we are orbiting the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. Very interesting number, the 666. And because it's a globe, it's a ball, it's a very easy definition to measure curvature from any point on a ball. And that's 8 inches per mile squared. It's not, these aren't my maths, these aren't, you know, this is what science tells us. So this is currently what the scientific academia tell us what we're doing. We are going, the sun is moving at 500,000 miles an hour in an endless void vacuum of space. And every planet, Everything around it is corkscrewing. You can't feel it, test or measure it, but that's what they're telling you you're doing. You're going around it, like I say, at 66,000 miles an hour, whilst you're spinning faster than the speed of sound. Pretty incredible, but that's what you are supposed to believe if you believe you live on a globe. So, you know, it's not moving, it's not spinning. Could we have been lied to? Well, of course. We're lied to about everything. We are coming through a 3-year period of complete and utter lies that we've actually woken up to. Some aren't aware of all the lies, some are learning. Could we have been lied to? Of course we can, because every single, from recorded history, every single nation, country, race always depict a flat earth with a dome over the top. And I'm talking everyone. I'm talking the Celts, the Chinese, you can see them all here. All of the same. These are all of their ancient origins of what they think, apart from NASA, you can see there. They're the only one that think it's different. Now, this is a commonly known as a flat Earth, or the Azimuthal equidistant, and all cultures believe that the North Pole, which is right in the center, which was the magnetic North Pole, directly in the middle of this disc-shaped flat Earth, and Polaris, the star, the North Star, was situated directly above it, which it is. Now, all of the ancient cultures believe that the stars came in 2 sorts of kinds. They were the fixed kinds, and they were the wandering stars, of course. Now, the fixed stars were obviously called so because they move in their relative position every night exactly the same. They are all moving in unison, apart from the wandering stars, which we know as planets, named after gods. For example, they move in different elliptical patterns. They have retrograde, they go backwards, they go curly, they make beautiful patterns. And this Venus, for example, I think it's 155 day or 255 day orbit, and it makes the flower of life. That's what it does. They all make their own different cymatic patterns. It's quite good. Now, the picture of the yin yang symbol, ancients thought that the sun and the moon were the same size and that they revolved around us in the sky, and they're much closer than we are taught. Now, they understood the sun to be a warm, antiseptic, growing and nurturing light. And of course, the moon is a completely opposite light. It's cold, it's septic, and it's damaging. The yin yang symbol, by the way, if you plot it out, if you plot the sun's shadow length on a flat Earth map, you get the yin yang symbol. That's what it's for. That's exactly what it was done. Night and day, the duality of the sun, the duality of the light and the dark. Now, the cultures, also these ancient cultures, this is a bit blurry, I apologize. The way our sun moves, it begins its journey in the Tropic of Capricorn, which is our outermost yellow ring you can see there. So in our winter, that's where it's zooming along. It's going around that track, narrowly coming in every 3 months until it hits the red line, which is the equator. And then at the summer solstice, it hits the innermost ring, which is the Tropic of Cancer. And then every minute past the 21st of June, it goes out again and continues that loop all the time. The loop spirals in and out all the time. And that's what they thought. That's what the way they thought the sun moved. So for centuries and throughout all of existence, ancient man knew the earth to be the center of the universe, to which, like all the stars, the sun and the moon revolved around us, a motionless fixed plane in a dome-like pattern. And some cultures believed in a literal physical solid dome or a firmament to which the fixed stars were attached, and other cultures mythologized that the center point north magnetic pole was the tree of life, and the tree of life sprung from there, and the branches were the constellations. Now, the ancient peoples believed that their circumference of their disk plane was surrounded by, as you can see here, an ice wall, a 200 feet wall, which keeps the oceans in. And beyond this ice wall, some cultures believe that there's more land, and some believe it's a solid dome barrier that acts as a stopping point for the end of the flat Earth. Now, you'll see there's many maps, many flat Earth maps, hundreds of flat Earth maps. Here are a few I can go through. This is the Gleason's map of 1892. This is how your continents are set out. This is how the world is laid out. We'll do some more in a minute about the way of this map. There's another one. This map is 1,000 years old, allegedly in a Chinese monastery, showing extra land outside of our middle part of our basin, which a lot of people think there is. A lot of evidence for it as well. You have the Urbano Monte map from the 1500s, showing the outside non-iced. So at some point, we are looking at perhaps there was being no ice there at all. The magnetic markers may have shifted, etc., etc. We don't know. It's a very old map. And this one is a map from the 1920s, showing the North Magnetic Center, circles east and west on a flat disk plane. So there you go. Now, no one knows really what lies beyond the ice walls. We're prevented from going there independently by something called the Antarctic Treaty, which we can get to soon. But we can still confirm some of the ancient things. We can confirm 200 foot ice walls, loads of them. There's hundreds of pictures there. We can also confirm Polaris doesn't move. It never has moved, as depicted by these sorts of star trails and things that you can do yourself. And just incidentally, I'm sure you're all aware the Georgia Guidestones who were blown up recently, etc., etc. Was it last year? They had a hole in one of the stones which faced Polaris, just Polaris. They're mocking us as they do all the time. It never moves. That's the only thing that you can do. And like I said, it's the pivot star to which everyone else revolves around. There you go. If you don't know where Polaris is, you can all know the plough. If you take the forward front part of the plough, as it were, and then look straight up, you'll see Polaris. And you can do the same thing yourself. You can do the star trail thing yourself to prove to yourself it doesn't and never has moved. We can also confirm the sun. We can also confirm the sun's path, the sun's orbits in the summer and the equinoxes and the winter. We can do visual, which we've done. We can do visual tracking paths of the sun. And it happens every year, exactly how the ancients, and we obviously see it. So there you go. We can confirm the Earth doesn't move and the Earth is motionless and the horizon remains perfectly flat as the eye can see, as you can see here. Just another fun fact, the horizon, as you're looking at it, always, and this is a big thing, always rises to the eye level of the observer. Always, doesn't matter how high you are. I think this is me in Tenerife at about 50 feet up, something like that. This is me 5,000 up in Tenerife, 5,000 feet up. You can see the horizon is at my eye level. Exactly the same on a plane. Doesn't matter how high you are, it will always be there at your eye level, which is completely ridiculous, knowing that this is what you should see on the left. You don't, what you see is on the right-hand side. It's a very, very simple tests. You can do it yourself, go up in a balloon, go up in a plane. This is how the Earth works. It doesn't work with a fall like that. And obviously some people say, oh, I can curvature from the window. No, you haven't. You really haven't. Your eyes naturally squint at the sides. If you're looking out at sea, it will blend, it will carve in that side and it will carve that side. If you look in the middle, anywhere of those things, they're completely level. We come to the eyes and the resolution and things that we can't see soon. Obviously, if you look at the windows, they're tri-ply plastic. We've had to do some work. There's stuff in them to allow for pressure. They are curved at the end. You see the curved runway, etc. So let's move on. This is the history. I'm going to blast through these as quick as I can. Pythagoras. What our history tells us, whether you believe our history, whether our history is right, this is what we can garner from it. It tells us Pythagoras around 500 BC, considered to be probably the first Freemason, fully entrenched in the mystery schools of Greece. Please go and research him. He's a very fun, weird character. First theorized the Earth could be round. He explained that if the Earth was turning, the stars and the heavenly bodies could easily be explained if we were turning, right? Of course it could. It never really gained any traction outside of Greece for about another 2,000 years or so. Now we've got here Aristotle, 400 BC. He was famed for, he thought of Earth was round because he saw ships disappear over the horizon. And this is sadly, it's not working. Yes, it is. This is sadly a widely held proof today that our Earth, you're seeing a boat go over the horizon at the end of your eye limit. So people say, well, of course it's round. And then you must imagine, you don't do the next logical step. Well, the Earth must only be 20 miles round then. or something like that. Nobody does that logical thing. And of course, once you see it come out of your eye's perspective and resolution angle, you assume it's gone. It's not. Go and get a decent optical camera, a telescope, zoom in, and there it is every time. The problem we have is that modern day optics have outgrown the lie. So, this is the problem that we have. Nothing goes over the horizon. It's a flat plane, simple as that. Now, next up, Eratosthenes. Some of you may have heard this, Sticks and Shadows, about 250 BC, geographer, mathematician, tells of an experiment where he claimed proof of a spherical Earth in 250 BC. In a place called Syene, which is Aswan in Egypt now, he knew at solar noon, the sun was over his head, it wouldn't cast a shadow, but it would cast a shadow directly down into his well. His friend, this is the ridiculousness about the story once you look into it. Most people say, oh yeah, the Greeks did it 2,000 years ago with Sticks and Shadows. It's just because it's a program response. His friend at the time, 575 miles away in Alexandria, had to simultaneously measure the angle of the shadow cast from his wall at the same time, from 575 miles away. To factor in the distances and the angles, but sadly, they used ridiculous assumptions, even if this story is correct at all. For example, I'm back, it seems. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Sorry about that. How far did you get? I don't know. We'll just carry on.
I've got to the bit where you'd done the zoom in and zoom out of the boat, and then it moved to another screen. Can anyone else help with where we were up to?
Did you get to the Eratosthenes thing? We did the shadows and the sticks.
Yes, yeah, that's where we're up to. Yeah, with the I was struggling with my maths is my weak point, so I was struggling with that bit. But yeah, that would be a good point.
It's just the insanity of the experiment to be proven as fact. It's just another one of those stories that
I see. Yeah,
confirm the globe. That sort of experiment was rendered ridiculous with the invention of this beautiful thing. This is the invention of the nautical sextant. Now, using sextants.
Do you want to go back to the big screen again? Share your screen, because it's currently on my screen. It's showing all of our faces, but not your.
Let's try that.
And it's still recording, so.
There we are.
Brilliant. Okay, so if everyone can mute themselves again, you probably all have, but I'll mute myself.
Let's go again. The Eratosthenes measurement of the globe was insanely stupid, and it was made ridiculous by the invention of this thing. Now, using this instrument, how navigators actually navigated, it's a real thing to get angle elevations. You can use a bit of plane trigonometry. You can measure the sun's angle and 2 points of the Earth simultaneously. And once you factor in their distance from each other, a bit of Pythagorean maths, it reveals both the height and dimensions of whichever you're measuring. Using this method, thousands and thousands of times, both the sun and the moon have been repeatedly calculated to be 32 miles in diameter and about 3,000 miles away from the plane, the Earth. Now, the sun is small. The sun and the moon are small and they are local. Look at the sun. Look at the sun's rays. They tell you all sun light comes in parallel because it's 93 million miles away. No, there's no experiment that can do that. There's no experiment that can tell you. There's no amount of pretend words like refraction that could lead the sun to be there and cast its light in any other way unless it's small and local. That's it. That's where the sun is. It's not 93 million miles away at all. Crepuscular rays. You can't have these on a 93 million mile away sun because the light comes in parallel according to crazy science. This is a picture of webcams. We've sent quite a few weather balloons up over the years. You'll see a hot spot. You'll see a hot focused beam on the plane, quite high, about 120,000 feet. The sun is just there. See another one there with a completely flat horizon at 120,000 feet. So when people tell me they've seen the curvature of the Earth on a 30,000 feet aeroplane, it's hard to convince them that they haven't, because they're convinced they've seen it, backed up with programming. Go and do a weather balloon, find yourself. They also say that if it's 93 million miles away, the sun can't change in size. It does all the time. When the sun's coming to you, with the refraction, with the magnification of all the atmosphere, it looks big. It comes to you, it looks like it goes up, then it looks like it goes down and away. It's not, it's going straight and it's coming past you. That's the perspective. We'll come to that. Now, 1522, this chap, Ferdinand Magellan, however you want to pronounce it, claimed to sail around the world. He went from east to west, not north to south. No one's gone north to south, ever. You cannot go north to south. This is how it works. The magnetic center point is north. It's in the middle of our plane. Every time you travel, you point your compass to north. So it steers you in north. So when you're traveling east or west, or you want to go whatever, compassing at north, you will travel east and west around the plane. Okay, so if you say everybody's traveled around the world, of course they have. It's easy. You can do it. Everybody aligns their compass to north. North is in the middle. So it makes perfect circles when you travel. That's it. It's that simple. Now, there is one thing with the Antarctic crossing. There's a Freemason called Ranulph Fiennes, you know of him. He says he's traveled north to south, but there is no data to support it. There is nothing. It's just a lie to do this thing. And Antarctica being patrolled by the military under the orders of these people, the United Nations, and incidentally, pay attention. You've all seen the flat Earth a million times. It's right there in the logo. It's always there in the logo. It's actually, it's there. It's plain sight. It's the mocking. It's the thing they do to us all the time. But unless you're aware, they get away with it all the time. Okay. Handsome looking chap. 1543, Nicholas Copernicus released a book called On the Revolutions of Celestial Spheres, which he tried to fancifully revive the heliocentric sun-centered nonsense first postulated by Pythagoras all those years ago. And the book told of like a spinning globe, a tilting, wobbling, moving thing, and he was questioned, almost laughed at by his peers at the time. One of them being this chap, Tycho Brahe. I'll go through it quickly. He said, to Copernicus, if the Earth was doing that, why don't we see any parallax or movement in the stars? We don't. Obviously, let alone the fact you've got to move. Gravity hadn't been invented then. So it was thought of as stupid almost by his peers. And Tycho Brahe being one of our favorite things. Oh, I tell you what, Copernicus was so clever. He thought the sun was 3,391,000 miles away. That was it. I'm the boss. That's how far it is away. Now, Tycho Brahe is a Danish astronomer in 1573. He was afforded a very expensive, lavish observatory. No money was spared from, I think, Rudolf II was the funder of it. And he was good. He was sort of one of us. He was a practical observer of the stars. It was completely different than the Copernican Pythagorean model. Kepler came to be his studier, if you like, his protege. Kepler's beliefs were that of Copernicus and all of the others. Bearing in mind, these are all Freemasons. Kepler's a known Freemason, Copernicus, known Freemason. So you'll get the thread soon. Kepler came along, obviously had heated exchanges, which caused him to leave. A year later, Kepler came back, basically apologized, got in there. 2 weeks later, Brahe died mysteriously. Kepler was then the leading astronomer for the emperor at the time. But he thought that the sun was 12 million miles away. They didn't know. 1608, and another challenger to our flat stationary plane is an Italian chap called Galileo. Now, obviously, he's famed for making telescopes. He's also famed for his writings about the tides and the pull of the water to make the tides, whilst constantly thinking we're moving in an upward direction while spinning around the sun. This caused the movement of water and created the tides. That's what he thought. Obviously, it only works if there was only one tide per day. There isn't. Most places have two. Many have four. You need the moon to go around all 4 times. Doesn't work like that. Now, Aristotle thought the Earth was a globe because, as we said before, he could see the ships going over the horizon. And of course, 2,000 years later, the telescope proved he was an idiot. This is the big one. Sir Isaac Newton, good friend. In 1687, he wrote a book called the Principia Mathematica. He presented his idea of gravity for the first time to the world. So for many, the idea of a spinning ball through space at breakneck speeds, of course, that we've just seen, was a ridiculous thing. It was occult work. It was a nonsense. Nicholas Copernicus, Freemason. So obviously, to counter this, gravity was invented. Now, just before we get into the gravity, as far as the magnetic core and everything else and how gravity could be affected by it, I just want to go with this little segue. We have only ever drilled down in this plane. The furthest we've gone is 7.6 miles. That's it. We can't go any further. We've tried. We cannot get any further than 7.6 miles down. That is it. Okay. So the idea of this nonsense that you are brainwashed with at school is utterly insane. The best ground penetrating radar from the military is about 200 feet at best. And we've only gone to, how do they know? They don't. It's pseudoscience. All of it is pseudoscience, and we'll get into it a little bit more. Okay, gravity. It's merely density and buoyancy. Okay, it's not the very thing that keeps all the planets from bumping into each other, not crashing into anything. It's nothing that produces a smaller mass to be attracted to a larger mass. It is nonsense. As you can see, if there was a force that pulled anything to the bottom or the center of it, a ping pong ball would be pulled down through those things. Relative density and buoyancy and electrostatics are making it fall down. Everything else is relative density and buoyancy. We'll come on to it a bit more later. Basically, if the object, if the medium is heavier than the medium it's around, it's going to fall. So, for example, you drop a stone, it falls, or rain falls down because it's heavier than air. If you have a large body of water and you have bubbles, they are always going to go up. Even massive bubbles will always rise up because they're lighter than the medium it surrounds. That's it. Hot air balloons go up, everything else falls down if it's heavier than the air. Same thing. He made up gravity only to counteract the nonsense of it being a spinning globe. Later, they realized all the calculations led to a giant singularity, get squashed into oblivion. To counter that, this is what they do now. To counter it, they make up something called dark energy. They tell us that the universe is 90% dark energy, which is basically anti-gravity. And then all the calculations showed it would rip the fabric of space. So they just made up something else called dark matter that holds gravitons and dark energies together. Never been tested, no proof of it, absolute, complete, one big psyop. And obviously, just simple stuff. You know, the apple didn't fall on his head. If it had gone in the water and come back up, what would he have done? What would he have done? How would he work gravity from there? It's crazy. But Sir Isaac Newton, he had the numbers for the sun. He knew. He said it was either 28 or 54 million miles to the sun. Didn't matter. So there you go. From Copernicus right the way through to where we are, 100 million miles difference. That's how bad science is. Okay. Admittedly, it's a long time ago up until now, but you know, each stage you're supposed to believe the science. Remember that. 1773, Captain Cook, first man to reach the Antarctic ice wall. Supposed to be an island on the bottom of a spinning ball shaped like a brain. It's not. With a circumnavigation of about 12,000 miles. Now, according to science. Now, this made-up landmass shouldn't have taken too long to sail around. Captain Cook sailed over 60,000 miles to try and find an inlet. 60,000 miles. They tell us the shape of the Earth's only 25 around. So he went over 60,000 miles, twice the distance of the globe over it. So it's nonsense. So it never happened. And of course, in 1783, the hot air balloon was invented. And for the first time in recorded history, people could go up, float for miles above the Earth and see for themselves whether or not it was flat or a globe. And of course, it's flat for as far as the eye can see. Now, in 1797, Henry Cavendish, the British scientist, Freemason, wealthy grandson of the Duke of Devonshire, he created an experiment. Unbelievable. where he claimed he successfully proved the existence of gravity, measured its constant, and provided accurate figures for the exact masses of Earth, Sun, Moon, and all the planets. Guess how he did it? That's right. He took a telescope from a shed and made observational movements of a torsion balance with some lead balls on it. Ta-da! There you go. That's it. Now, with all of those calculations that he clearly made up, this is where your gravity comes from. This is where your heliocentric model comes from. Of course, it's a crazy thing. It's widely used today that this is proof. Crazy. Equally stupid, 1851, a French guy named Leon Foucault did an experiment equally as ridiculous, proclaiming that the Earth was indeed spinning. It could be proven by a simple pendulum spinning. I don't know if you've ever seen them in the museums or the universities. Some of them, they have to start it off. You can't let it stop and let the Earth move it. No. It has to be moved. And it's nonsense. It's a manufactured gizmo which does do nothing to prove anything. All of the cranes, all of the plumb lines, all of everything else, they'd all be spinning too. They're not. We are stationary. We are motionless. Okay, 1864. Zetetic Astronomy was written and published by this chap, Samuel Rowbotham. He was an inventor, author, most famed for his Bedford level experiment down in Cambridge, which is a lock 20 miles long, uninterrupted stretch of 20-mile flat water. So what he did was get in the water, leave his telescope 6 inches off the water level, went for 6 miles, planted 6 flags equally spaced out over the mile to see at what point he wouldn't be able to see them because they would curve around, bearing in mind 8 inches per mile squared. At 6 miles, it's 24 feet, something like that. So he wouldn't be able to see the last 2 or 3 probably. Well, that's what he should have done at the top, but obviously he saw them all, the same as everybody can see that far. We see too far for their nonsense. That's their biggest problem. We'll come to that at the end. 1871. This is the best one. 1871. From so much pressure from the public at the time to address the claims of all these crazy flat earthers, and the Royal Astronomical Society president, this chap here, is called George Airy. So he devised an experiment which he hoped would once and for all, sort of prove Earth's motion and forever silence the nonsense. He filled his telescope with water, hoping to slow the light down, and he would calculate how often he would have to move his telescope in order for the light to come in. Obviously, he never moved it, and the light was still coming in, literally proving the sky turned and the Earth didn't. It's called Airy's failure. It's a very famous experiment that didn't work for him. This is another one, 1887. American physicists, Albert Michelson and Edward Morley, very prominent. It's all there, you can go and look at it. Performed an experiment to determine Earth's speed through space. They passed a light through one of this table, they span it, and what should have happened, they put the light in one direction of the motion and the other at right angles to it. So the light traveling with the Earth should have taken longer to return than the light traveling, etc. Very simple experiment. Obviously, nothing happened to their surprise, and they couldn't do the experiment. There was no motion. There's no detected motion or test available. Nothing happens. And in 1900, because like I told you, the flat Earth isn't new. It's been going since creation. We are just like the latest version of it. 1900 here, if you ever do want to do some research into old newspaper stuff, go to the New York Post, look in the archives, just type in the words flat Earth or non-globe moving or something like that, and you'll see thousands and thousands of references. Hopefully that's still available to done. This is one from the Minnesota County Herald, which says Earth is round. He may be thrown into prison. So this is where we were in the 1900s. It's painful to read that Sir John Gorse, the head of the British Educational Department, is in serious trouble and has been threatened by Mr. Ebenezer Breach and other taxpayers of the city of Portsmouth, funnily enough, in the Kingdom of England, with the prosecution under the Impostors Act. It seems that the School of Portsmouth have been teaching the damnable and heretical doctrine that the Earth is a sphere. So it was always a sphere until fairly recently. Now, in 1903, the aeroplane was invented, you know, and obviously when hot air balloons were first invented, people were told the reason they cannot simply lift up and wait for the Earth to come is because gravity somehow sticks the entire atmosphere to spin slightly faster than the Earth, again, which you can't detect, test, or measure. That's what you're told. Now, of course, since aeroplanes were designed to go fast enough or faster than the alleged spin of the Earth or move, you know, you can clearly see the Earth doesn't move. It's fairly obvious. So aeroplanes sort of outdone that. Now, I say there for some things. If the Earth were a ball, just sticking with some aeroplanes, these are some aeroplane destinations. You have Australia to South America. Now, from this point, the plane route that they tell you on a ball goes from the southern hemisphere all the way up to the northern hemisphere and twice the distance back down. Really, they could just go from left to right. Right? That's what they should do. But on a ball, it doesn't make any sense. If you look to the right on a flat Earth model, it's pretty much a straight line. All flights are like this. They're pretty much a straight line. But on a ball, on a globe, they tell you to do stupid things. A bit like the when they tell you the jet stream, you see the picture of it on a globe, doing ridiculous things. It's not. On a flat map, it's a perfect circle. That's how things work. Another one, South Africa to Australia. Simple hop across. You could fuel in Madagascar if you wanted to. You don't. You go from southern, northern, and down, and pretty much a straight jot across on a flat Earth. And like I say, all routes. There's a good couple of videos called 16 Emergency Landings Prove Flat Earth. And this is where people have had to do an emergency landing. On a globe, it would look like they're going thousands of miles out of their way. On a flat map, it's the very next stop in a straight line. So there you go. So over a decade passed, flat Earth cosmology was part of the world. Everyone was doing it up in the 1900s till this man came along, Albert Einstein. Wrote his theory of general relativity about 1916, and in one sort of fell swoop with television, advent of media, this guy put the globe firmly into people's psyche. Again, with the Rockefellers' educational thing at the time, which came everywhere, heliocentrism was going to be the way. Now, I don't know what you know about Albert Einstein. He's a cross-dressing patent clerk, Zionist media fraud, and a plagiarist. Really is a plagiarist. He paid off his wife with £100,000 of Nobel Peace money, married his cousin, her two daughters, which he was attracted to, and they all lived in a big, lovely harem. Terrible fraud, used to wear ladies' sandals. Horrible man. Revered as a genius legend. There you go. This man, 1927, the Big Bang, the Big Bang. This theory was first postulated by this man in 1927. He's a Catholic Jesuit priest by the name of Jorge Lemaitre. No one's really heard of him. But bear in mind, the Big Bang theory, you know, this is where there was nothing, and all of a sudden, for no reason which you can't test or measure, an explosion happened and created everything, right? That's what you're led to believe. By this man. Now, I have no idea where these fantasies could come from. Well, obviously, you know, there's a big club that we're not in. Now, we're going to go forward now. 1931, Augustus Picard, not Arsene Wenger, Swiss physicist. He was an inventor. He was known for his record-breaking balloon flights. And in the 30s, 1931, I think, it describes how his 9-mile journey in the sky was fraught with leaks and their big aluminium balloons, which he has in the back there. No idea about the hats. I really don't know what's going on there. And in the, I think, is it Popular Science magazine, 1931, this is what he said. It seemed a flat disc with an upturned edge. I don't know. Okay, the next decade, flat Earth was still being discussed. It was still being taught in Canadian schools in the 50s. The Second World War came, V2 rockets sent everywhere, and the shape of the Earth was clearly not on anybody's mind at all. But this is where it all starts getting a little bit crazy. Operation Paperclip, 1945 to 55. Operation Paperclip granted 1,000 German scientists, we've got Nazis as well, citizenship. Many of them went to work for NASA, CIA, etc., etc. And one very famous one is a chap called Werner von Braun, which you may or may not have heard of. He is a Nazi officer. He designed the V2 rocket, the one that created such a terrible thing with the UK during the war. Now, we're going to skip through some of these bits. This is his headstone. We'll come back to this at the end. The grandfather of rocket technology for NASA, tiny headstone. Very, very important psalm. We'll come back to that later. Now, 1946, Operation High Jump took place, led by a chap called Admiral Richard Byrd. He was an American naval officer, the youngest to have 3 ticker tape parades, Medal of Honor, etc., etc. Polar explorer for years. He'd been going to Antarctica for 20 years before this expedition. I think the first one was in 1928, so he was quite well versed in the place. Now, many believe, as the name suggests, they went over the 200-foot ice wall that surrounds this plane. And went and had a look. It wasn't any ordinary expedition, though, not at all. 4,500 men, 13 ships, 33 aircraft. Something was going on in Antarctica that they were trying to find. Yeah, 1957, I'm going to bring you a little bit up to date now. This is where Russia allegedly launched the first satellite into space. I don't know. Ford Cortina, car aerials with maybe I don't know, a flush for the toilet thing, ball. I have no idea, but that's what it was. Now, satellites were first theorized by Freemason and science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke. So I don't know if you knew that. Now, fun facts about satellites. They tell us there's upwards of 20,000 satellites zooming around a pretend globe Earth. They float in what science calls a thermosphere, where temperatures in the thermosphere are supposed to be upward of about 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit, or really, really hot. Metals used for these things in these satellites, such as all of the things you can see, have far lower melting points than where they're supposed to be. The whole thing would never work. They would all melt. It's insane to think that something can zoom around an Earth. It doesn't. Because what you see, what you've seen recently, are these. These are where your satellites come from. They are balloons. They are satelloons. They can keep them up there for weeks, as far as I know. They can keep them up there for weeks. They can steer them. And that's what it is. That's what you get. Obviously, they've been shot down recently and some other nonsense you've got to think about. CGI satellites are in space. Real ones are on balloons. And that's really the truth of it. And obviously, to get worldwide communications, even in the Second World War, they used something called a Decca, and they ran ground-based communications, which is where all communications for this plane come in. Again, there is another one. And nowadays, fiber optics, huge fiber optic cables, cover all of the internet. 99% of all the world's internet is by undersea cables. So, you know, all perfectly good without the aid of conditioning mind satellites that go around the globe. Okay, getting a little bit weird now. 1958, Operation Deep Freeze 2 was conducted in Antarctica by this man again, Admiral Richard Byrd. Now, in that same year, these people were formed. Okay, and the Antarctic Treaty was put in place 1 year later. And all this taking place at much the same time, sort of should have raised alarm bells. It did to us, obviously, after on retrospect research, but it carried on. Now, Admiral Richard Byrd is going to tell you something now about, you may have seen this, I'm not sure, but he's going to tell you about some further land.
North Pole used to be a no man's land, but these are the days when, by buying a ticket on a commercial airliner, you can fly across the North Pole and drink a cocktail at the same time. You know, only 60 or more years ago, about 35 years ago, our guest tonight found out whether there was any land north of the North American continent. He made that first discovery flight, and I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. and not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing.
It is. It's quite astonishing. A land as big as the Americas, not discovered. There is video of him doing the thing, showing the land, where he explains there's coal, there's more resources there. A lot of flat earthers think there's lots of further land beyond the Antarctic ice wall. 1928, in 1920, a chap called George Rayner was going down to Antarctica. He's done a whole series of photography work. Look at that sky. Is it a dome? Is it a sky? Is it a trick of the camera? You can go and look at all of his work and judge for yourself. Looks very, very compelling, that sort of thing. But obviously, whatever they found there, you and I can't go and see. Because of this, the Antarctic Treaty, now signed in Washington on the 1st of December, 59, it was produced by, there was a great geophysical year, they said, in 57 and 58, and it was ratified in 1961 in this room, and they do it every year, and they go there, have a jolly. I mean, look at it, look at the room. It's just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. They all sign their thing, and they go, yeah, we'll stick at it for another year. Apart from Russia recently, who are threatening to break the Antarctic Treaty. Could be some very strange things going on there. The problem is with the Antarctic Treaty, below the 60th south parallel, you cannot have independent travel. You can go and pay 25, 30,000 pounds and see some penguins, and they'll put you on a little peninsula, and then you go. You have no independent travel allowed at all. They're protecting it. You know, NASA was formed then to protect the sky. You don't want any independent stuff. There's a roof on it, by the way, we'll come to that. And you don't want to, and you want to protect the side where it's freedom, you know, where people are going to find out stuff. So these things are all done at the same time. Now, if they truly found the edge, there must be something in our prehistory. And were they correct? How high did it go? Was there a roof? What was going on? Well, in 1962, they did something called Operation Fishbowl. Insane name. They began to find out how high this place was. They sent up for 3 years, 3 whole years with Russia and a few other countries. They kept sending massive ballistic missiles, maybe nuclear. That's what they tell us. And they detonated them at high altitude. They detonated them on what we believe to be the rakia or the firmament or the dome. Play a little bit. This is actually the footage of the actual event called Operation Fishbowl. They tell you they're going up to do some high aerial resource stuff. It's not. There's bits towards the end of this where you see, which I'll go to, where you see it exploding on the roof. There's plenty of stuff like this. It's crazy. It's not just or a random explosion. It hits something and it spreads like that. But they did it for 4 years. And that's it. So now we come to, it's the 60s. Space travel was firmly indoctrinated in people's minds, and, they had to prove once and for all, they had to get everybody on side. So the fake moon landings, anybody here believe the moon landings were real? Show of hands. I love you all. Now, this is an enormous topic on its own. I'll zoom through it as best I can. Firstly, Freemasons. There's a big thread of Freemasons. The reason Freemasons and the mystery schools are the reasons that the knowledge is kept hidden from the masses. Okay, I think we're sort of all agreement on that. It's a big club, but we're not in. You're protecting knowledge. You are protecting massive knowledge to keep us in control and not critically thinking about anything else other than what we're supposed to be doing. Before we get into that, NASA was made, this guy, JPL, Jack Parsons, you may know him. JPL Laboratories, the former part of NASA. This is where it all started from. L. Ron Hubbard was a good friend of Jack Parsons. They used to do ritual sex magic in the Nevada desert. At the time, this man was the most celebrated author, the most widely read author in the entire plane. They were both friends and Freemasons and Satanists with this guy, Aleister Crowley, world famous Satanist. Was it the ODO, Ordo Templi Orientis, or Order of the Oriental Temples, I suppose. One of the things he is was do what thou wilt, which is a very satanic thing that's been done. Now, they all knew this guy, Walt Disney, a Freemason and a fellow follower of Aleister Crowley. And this guy knew this guy, did some films with him. This is Wernher von Braun, the Nazi that came over on Operation Paperclip to do rocket technology. Now, we all know Disney is one of the most satanic things. I don't know if you don't know, you should. All the sixes are encoded into their stuff. If you look on some of these background pictures, the Illuminati, ask about the Illuminati, the hidden eye, all the stuff. The thing that goes over, as you can see in the Walt Disney logo, is the firmament. It's a mocking of the firmament. That's it. Now, bizarrely, NASA and Walt Disney are very, very entrenched with each other for the conditioning of people. If you don't know about the Disney stuff, there's plenty of, there are some, I'll try and link them when I finish, but there's plenty of videos about the satanic version and the sex stuff that's in there. All of the sexual innuendos for, what was the thing, oh, I can't remember, the Perishers or something. There's loads, and there's hundreds and hundreds of cartoons, even the early Mickey Mouse ones with sexual connotations and shadows that you're not seeing. They're all embedded there psychologically for you. Now, NASA. Here we go. What you can see here is the logo, the NASA logo. You'll notice there the serpent tongue. Bizarre. It's a serpent tongue, which is symbolic of, obviously, the serpent. And we'll look here. The actual word NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. You are being deceived. It's insane. You've got the word NASA, which is missing a T for the anagram of Satan and the serpent tongue. When you hear NASA, they say T minus 20 minutes, T minus 14, T minus, that's where it is. This is very satanic. It's a very, you have to understand this plane that's been created is not run by the creator. It depends how biblical you want to get. It was given over to Lucifer. There was a rebellion, etc., etc. That's where I come from. That's why I believe all this to be very satanical, very part and relevant. This is the picture when this is the post-moon landing picture. They're so happy. You know, when you see a football match and they win 2-0, they can't contain the happiness. They've just done man's greatest achievement. They're so happy. Okay. Freemasonry, get ready. You could not be an astronaut in the Apollo program unless you were a Freemason. You were chosen because you were going to lie to the world. Buzz Aldrin, alcoholic nightmare at the moment, admitted ring-wearing, hand sign flashing, 33-degree Freemason from the Montclair Lodge. Edgar Mitchell, just on some of them, it's Order of the Delay Mason, Arteta Lodge, New Mexico, James Irwin, Donicel, Luther B. Turner, Gordon Cooper was a Master Mason, Virgil Grissom, and lastly, actually, Fred Kleinecht of the Apollo Program Mission Director, after it, got promoted to, he became Sovereign Grand Commander of the Council of the 33rd Degree of Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. So he did his job, he got rewarded. That's where it is, all kept in. All of the NASA astronauts, Neil Armstrong, I think Shepard, William Pogue, and all of the others, all had fathers, all Freemasonries, etc. You couldn't get in unless you were one. You show some pictures. Look at that, lovely, nice little smile. Gonna lie to everyone. Look at us lying. Little Freemason ring for Buzz there, look, you don't mind. Let me just put my hand on this globe. Remember, psychology, brainwashing. There we are. Nice shoes. And here we go, Freemasons. This is, obviously they do their rituals, etc., etc. They're about to lie to the world. People say, oh, no Freemasons, no, not at all. Well, here they are. That's your Google Mail symbol, by the way. If you don't think Google or Freemasonry has anything to do with the power of control of everything, their aprons are the Google Mail symbol. But that's how powerful this whole thing is. It's not, you know, this is an official NASA picture. NASA number FP69, blah, blah, blah. Look at it. It's a phallic symbol. It's clear. They do a lot of phallic symbols. It's satanic. It's sex magic. It's evil. So there they are again, obviously on the moon. Just forgot to put the helmets on. And this is a cracker. This is Buzz in a zero-G plane, all mocked up, all done. And the LEM mock-up is behind him. The landing module is behind him. Sure, they're only training though, right? This is a cracker. Unbelievable. This is an official, they're all NASA official images I'm showing you, by the way. This is an official NASA image of the lunar lander. Please go and look at this. Look at it hard and tell me that the curtain rods, the roof paper, the tin foil, and on the top left, the way the boards are just in there, went through the harshest part of space and came back to Earth. Not a chance. This is theatre. It's absolute nonsense. It's not even rainproof, let alone pretend spaceproof. Crazy stuff. Again, Freemasonry. You know, if you've not looked into it, please have a look at it. All presidents, all MPs, all pretend mouthpiece controllers, all part of the club you're not into. This is a cracker. George Washington, Freemason. Oh, and first president. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. That's how powerful they are. Funny enough, this is Freemasons working on a globe in near Swanage, in Studley near Swanage. Dalston, sorry. So listen, from 1969 to 72, these Freemasons at NASA claim to have landed their Apollo missions on the moon 6 times, not once, 6 times they went backwards and forwards. So with this bit of ingenious deception, bit of rocket technology from Werner von Braun, these lying Freemasons took photographs through a round window of a high altitude plane. And with one psyop, managed to sort of convince everyone that they're living on a ball. However, apart from the fact that we can research this, there was a film called Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. I'll play it, I'll get to the points, and then we'll have a chat.
And finally, the element that seals their fate. Of all the footage of Apollo 11 requested from NASA over a 5-year period, one gem was discovered just before the completion of this documentary. An old reel received by mistake. It contains the raw or unedited footage of the crew of Apollo 11, Michael Collins, Edwin Aldrin Jr., and Neil Armstrong, staging part of their mission for nearly an hour in living color, with exceptionally clear behind-the-scenes audio of conversations discussing the techniques used to achieve a disingenuous picture depicting the Earth at a distance in order to falsely demonstrate their far journey from it.
Right, okay, so you heard it. You heard what she said. They manipulated the window with a piece of card to get this desired result. The film is called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. You can actually still get it on YouTube, I think. You have to look. You might have to look on. So it tells you about these liars, basically. These people that are proving a disingenuous picture. All on the days. The film is dated all on the days they were supposed to be going to the moon and everything else. I'll play it from here so you can carry on.
Third confidential party, prompting the astronauts with what to say, when to speak, and how to effectively manipulate the camera to achieve the desired misleading effect. NASA claims that the Houston transmissions were the only ones taking place with the astronauts. Listen now as Houston Control initiates a conversation with the crew, only to find them too preoccupied with the behind-the-scenes trickery to respond. Moments pass, and the oversight is picked up on by the clandestine third party, who quickly prompts them with talk. Immediately, Neil Armstrong speaks.
Houston, Goldstone says that the TV looks great. Over.
Again, the illusion they are attempting to create is the Earth at a distance to demonstrate their far journey from it and their ability to survive passing through the Van Allen radiation belts. Understand, too, that only about 20 seconds of this raw footage was ever broadcast to the public, and these conversations discussing their deception were believed to be private until now.
Okay, so there you go. I mean, it's insane how and what they're trying to do for control of your mind. Like I say, you've just gone through 3 years of COVID, right? And you see how they manipulate, you see how they work. This is a deep-rooted one, that's all. Now, NASA, these new images of planets, sorry, they're bottoms of frying pans, beg your pardon, you wouldn't know. These images, these are all official NASA images. It's insane. Look, they're all done in CGI. They're all not real. They're all made and they're all composites. Okay, that's my claim. You can see, you can look at these, you can just see yourself how ridiculous each one of them is. The 2012 one and the 1996 one, I haven't got it here, have exactly the same clouds. They're rubbish at their CGI creation. They're really rubbish. How do I know this? Because of him. He works for Goddard Space Center. His name is Robert Simon. In 2012, he was responsible for creating the latest in a long line of fake images of the Earth called the Blue Marble. It was the one that was on all the iPhones when they came out, you know, further programming, etc., etc. So, you know, since the original Blue Marble in 1972, which, by the way, was the only picture of Earth you could get up until 2015, crazy. It was the last one in 1972. They've been 6 times, but they only took one on the way back on the last thing. It's insane to think that we could believe that. And in 2015, with the 16, the growing trend of flat Earth and the actual internet traffic, which they had to censor a lot, NASA released 1,000 images all of a sudden of the Earth, never seen before. It's crazy, crazy stuff. Anyway, NASA provided the public with a lot more pictures and videos since then. But this guy, you know, he'll tell you, he will tell you. And if you look down at one of his interviews, there's plenty of interviews of this guy where he says, then we wrapped a flat map around a ball. This is what they do. Okay, so when you look at Antarctica, it becomes that silly brain thing on the bottom. You can literally wrap any azimuthal equidistant flat map and make it a ball. And that's exactly what they do, what they did. Okay. And obviously with a skeptical eye and with the original Apollo pictures that we could get back in the day, you cannot get them now. I think we have them somewhere on servers, copies of them. You can literally use the contrast and the brightness. I've done it myself with pretend satellites in space. You put the brightness up, you can see that there's an image, it's a cut and paste. There's tons of it. There's tons of cut and paste. There used to be, they're a bit better at it now. It's not Photoshop anymore. It's a lot more digital, but we'll come to that. There you go, it's making of the moon landing. There's him measuring that. There's the trolley trucks for the cameras to go on. There's the trail, the actual train lines for it. Sure, he's just doing something. The moon, it's takes on the color of the sky behind it. Okay, so if you've got a harvest moon, for example, in the daytime, if you've got a reddish sort of moon, the sky, it takes on the color of the sky. It's a light. The moon is a light. It is not a solid rock. So there you go. Okay, this is another thing. We're told that the moon reflects the sunlight. It doesn't. It doesn't reflect the sunlight. The moon produces its own cold light, its own very cold light. It's like the sun, but opposite. So you can get a thermometer, you can measure something in the moon shade, you can measure something in the moonlight. In the moonlight, it's colder than the moon shade. You can get a magnifying glass like you used to as a kid with the sun and maybe set fires or burn ants or something, whatever crazy stuff we did. You can do the same with the moon. If you get a magnifying glass on moonlight, it becomes colder. You're making things colder. It does not reflect the sun. Light, when they say it reflects the sun, light is different on a ball. This is not a ball. It's a flat stationary disc as far as we can tell. When you shine light onto a ball, you notice it has a bright spot and then fades from the end. The moon has an equal lit side to side, up and down, always when it's a full moon, fully lit. Okay, so it having light shined on it as a ball is not happening. That's not it. Here you see some people say you can see stars through the moon certain times. 1 month, 1 day of the month, you can't see the moon anywhere. It's called a new moon. You can't see it. It's not testable, measurable, or actually visual anywhere on the plane. These are some of the flags that depict perhaps a coulting of a star through the moon. It's a light, obviously. Now this guy, there must be some evidence of the moon landing. Okay, there must be some reels, must be in the Smithsonian or something. There's not. All the telemetry data and evidence, all of it for the Apollo program has been destroyed or mislaid. It's gone. Man's greatest achievement, gone. Now, according to their own stocks, they didn't just lose a little bit. They didn't just lose like 20 reels of footage. No. 13,000 reels of footage and telemetry data missing or destroyed. Wow.
I can
Listen
go
to
to
this
the
idiot.
moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
He is one of NASA's finest astronauts. I wouldn't send him up the stairs, let alone in a rocket. Anyway, it's too painful to build it up. Should we go to Mars instead? Or other places rather than the moon, because it's too painful to build that technology back. Okay, lastly, here we go. Look at this here. You'll see a picture here. Arthur C. Clarke, famed sci-fi author, first coined the phrase satellite. Stanley Kubrick, we all know Stanley Kubrick. You see an astronaut there. You see a NASA advisor and a senior administrator of the Apollo project. Wow, altogether, unbelievable. Who'd have thought? This is going to take us to 1996. Space Shuttle, Challenger. It was terrible. The explosion viewed by millions. Remember, all these events are viewed by millions of people on the great brainwashing TV set. We all thought they were, and we were told, convinced they all died in this horrific explosion. Oh. Right, no. They don't send people in rockets. No one goes anywhere. No one's been to space. These people, look at them, their finest. Most of them all still alive. How bizarre. Judith Rensek and Sharon McAuliffe. I think Sharon McAuliffe still lectures under her real name, Sharon McAuliffe, in, I can't remember which university it is in America. So did Judith Rensek. Same name, same people. One of the guys down here, Dick Scobie, right in the middle, you can see in there. He is the MD of a marketing company called Cows in Trees. Yeah, so they're all the same people, or NASA will have you believe they all had twins. Amazing. It's ridiculous. It's totally and utterly ridiculous. This is how we've already seen how they faked it in the 50s. Stop-go animation. I don't know if I played that in the end. Didn't play it in the end. Stop-go animation. They used to do stop-go animation for spacewalks in the studio. Maybe I'll play that later. In the 80s, they did this. They did models mainly. Watch.
Dan sat in the pilot seat during this operation, sort of monitoring the motion of the vehicle, making sure that it was steady and that there were very few
Look at that.
of any sort.
What's going on there?
Here's a picture of the
Who's that?
INSAT,
Who's that popped in?
actually being
What's going on there?
from the
See if he comes back.
spacecraft. You can see that
Yeah, he did. Right, let's do this again. Okay, All of this is not in space, on a spaceship, it's in a studio somewhere. It's utter nonsense.
Motion of the vehicle,
Building it up for
making
the
sure that
people,
it was
building it up for
steady
the people,
and that
okay?
the,
Now, they used,
the-
this is
the
a
reversal,
model being taken out, spinning, and on the right there you see a bloke.
there's a picture
You
of
see
the
him, you see his big head and his
inside,
nose, and he comes back in
actually
again. He's probably, oh
drawn
no, don't
from
get in the
a,
shot.
space
Too late, I'm in the
craft. You can
shot.
see that
Looks
the
funny if I stay out now, I'll go
deployment
back.
very smoothly.
That's how they faked it in the 80s. This is how they did it in the 80s. And you're all sat there going, wow, they're launching it. Wow, it's amazing. And people bought it. They still buy it now. But it's nonsense. Now, in 1988, sees the construction of the International Space Station. No footage exists of it. Nothing. There's no construction video at all. There's no videos of it going back up, being built. Nothing at all. It's ridiculous. Look at the state of these people. Look at the state of these people. These are NASA's finest. Okay, look at them. They all got their great sports shades on. Now you can see there's a window to the left, window to the left, window to the right, but look at the right there. The bloody window's open. It's open. They're rubbish at what they do. You have to understand these people are rubbish at what they do. And once you see it once, you can't unsee any of it. So he left the window open. This guy must know what he's talking about. He's obviously got the key, look. Oh, he left the window open himself at the back there. And there's a message on there that says, keep the window closed unless taking pictures. Okay, great. Let's hope the Tentor vacuum doesn't suck you out of the window. This is an official NASA image. What they've done is you can see the pretend Earth in the background there. I mean, literally, when you see these images, zoom in on some of these pretend spaceships or whatever they are. They're held together with tape. It's rubbish. It's almost as bad as the lunar lander. But look, they forgot to draw the rest of the Earth in, okay? They're rubbish at what they do. NASA's finest fixing the world here. He's so good, he forgot to put his shoes on the right way. That's how we are doing here. And on the right-hand side, you'll see sticky tape and all sorts of other stuff. These are playing for your mind. They are lying to you. NASA official documents. There are literally thousands and thousands of documents from all the alphabet agencies, CIA, FBI, blah, 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 and NASA themselves telling you it's a flat, non-rotating Earth. Okay, this is what they tell people how to land. This is a concluding remarks. You have to have a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying in a stationary atmosphere over a flat, non-rotating Earth. Why? Because that's what it is. How on earth do you think planes could land on a moving ball? Seriously. So there you go. NASA themselves. Now you're going to get into stuff here now, which some of you may have seen, some of you may not have seen. This is how they tricked us in the 90s with pulleys, wires, harnesses. They still do it, but let's go.
I don't know. We're going to have to do something for you.
Gonna have to do something. Oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? Stop, stop. He's caught in the wire. Don't pull the wire. Honestly, don't pull the wire. Dave, don't pull the wire. Seriously, don't pull the wire. Oh, you're pulling the wire. Okay, you're pulling the wire. It's insane. There are, I will recommend you to go to a YouTube channel or find a thing called Jeranism, where he has hours, countless hours of NASA footage like this. There's thousands of it. But unless you know what you're looking for, you think it's all real. Did you see her hair, by the way? Look at that. It's bizarre. Okay, so we have that. This one, you may not have seen this one. This is slightly more up to date now. This is now a time. They're done with the harnesses per se. Now we use virtual reality, virtual layering, etc., to fool the masses. We still use harnesses, but mainly layers of virtual reality. Watch this. Okay, what you're going to see in the background there, they've put another layer in, but they forgot to take his harness off. Okay, you'll see it again. Oops, there. Okay. Now, bizarrely enough, this goes backwards and forwards a little while. You'll see something which I think is some kind of satanic gesture. He'll throw a guinea pig across. Wait for it, it's coming. It's a guinea pig that gets thrown across. I've got to try and work out the satanic element of it. I can't work it out. Just watching the background there. Just watch. There he goes. Way! Did you see that? They've taken a guinea pig to the space station and throw him around. It's insane. It's to give you this illusion that they're floating, even though he's got a harness on, he's an idiot. The best bit to come. See the hat in the foreground, we'll get past this, the hat in the foreground. He's going to give this virtual hat, because it's not real, to this man in the green. And they're going to cock it up. Oh, there it is. Oh, I'll take it. Thanks. I'll put it up on the shelf. What? What's going on? What? Hold on a minute. Now you can see his eyes in the green. He's looking at the virtual reality screens going, oh, shit, I've made a mistake here. And the guy in the blue is thinking, oh, my Lord, how are we going to get out of this? Happens all the time. Loads of those incidences. That's how they fool you now. But they're rubbish at it, like I said. This is another one. They're not there. They're just a layer, as is this metal thing on the right, trying to convince you that all is well and wonderful. Right, we'll see you later, guys. Thanks. Oh, shit. Oh, quick, we're losing the layer. We're losing the layer. The green screen's behind. You can see the green screen behind. Cut to fade, right? There's hundreds of examples like that. It's all virtual reality now, all in the studio somewhere. No one goes to space. That's it, pretty much. Last couple of things. Stars, what are they? NASA gives you CGI images. They give you CGI pictures of Earth. They give you ridiculous composites. Superb, fantastic pictures of these pretend planets. They're not terra firma. They're opaque lights. Just, this is a real star. This is what they actually look like. They're not gaseous balls of sun quadrillions of miles away. We don't know what they are. Small points of light set within a firmament. Every time you see a picture in space, pretend space, they can't put the stars in because you'll know exactly where they are. They have to be in alignment with somewhere. So every picture of space, there's no stars. Every picture of the Apollo moon landing, no stars. They can't do it. They get caught out too easily. Capella. Beautiful star. Look at this. Look at this. This is what NASA tells you Capella is. There it is. They say it's that much bigger than the sun. Right. Insane. This is what Capella is. They are frequency points of light. We don't know what they are. They are very important. They have an electromagnetic effect on all of us. If they were trillions of miles away, ancient Chinese astrology and understanding the frequencies of these things would make no difference. They are small and close within our atmosphere. That's Capella. This is amazing. This is Vega, I think. You have to just bear with the terrible footage of it and wait until it sort of gets going because it loses it for a bit. But I've never seen anything so amazing. Now, this is not a burning giant gas ball of sun or whatever it is that they tell you it might be. Where is it? It's coming. There it is. Like I say, we don't know what they are. Electromagnetic frequency points of light that have an effect on us. It's absolutely amazing. Now, like I said to you, optics have outgrown the lie now. You can't, optics have outgrown the lie, so it's easier for us to discern. CGI, again, Saturn is that. It's an opaque light. It's not super CGI'd, but this is what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that they're super giant terra firmas out trillions of miles away. They're not. So CGI versus reality. Another one. There you go. The killer, the absolute nail in the coffin for the globe is the fact we have an ability to see too far. We've done it with the experiment when we saw Henry Rowbotham over a 6-mile period. You could see it. This is the longest photography competition. Every year they have it. You might see some of the distances up there. 443 kilometers. They can see something 443 kilometers away. Let's say 350 miles away. So we'll go here. This is science's best thing to tell you how to measure a curvature. Not mine. This is not my stuff. 350 miles. Let's do 300 miles. You can look down 300 miles. There is a curvature, missing curvature drop of 11 miles, according to the globe. Except you could see that mountain range. You could see it. It's easy. You could see the boat far off into the distance when you think it's gone over. Infrared eliminates all refraction nonsense that they tell you is happening. They will tell you that an image is being lifted over a ball for some imaginary reason and being planted in front of you. It is not. You can see too far. And that's the best proof. Like I say, it should be 11 miles under the curve. You should never have seen any of that mountain range. 11 miles under the curve. You can do the experiment yourself. Get a camera, get it done, work out how far you should be able to see. 5 miles, there's a drop of 16 feet. So if you can see something 5 miles away that's 10 foot, you shouldn't be able to see it at all. It's insane. Like I say, the optics have caught up and logic has come back, thank goodness. So that for me is the killer for flat Earth. If you want to know more about the flat Earth, I would strongly suggest you spend £2.99. Okay, this is not my app. I'm not shilling for it, but it does have the best flat Earth resource available. Flat Earth was censored in 2017 by 2 congressional hearings. YouTube, Google, etc. They're all in there. They specifically censored flat Earth. It's a very important topic because it's something you can prove for yourself. You can't prove anything else. You can't prove anything else. You can prove this to yourself. So I would suggest go to the App Store, get it. It's called the, Flat Earth Clock here, but it's actually called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock app. The best flat Earth resource. Flat Earthers are growing. It has books, friend finder, images, referrals, videos, everything has the full content. Please go and download it. It will probably change your life. It has something called Friend Finder, which is at the moment it stands at close to 100,000 people that have signed up for it, all flat Earthers. If you look at the bottom right hand corner, you'll see the UK. These are all the people in the UK that have done it. Flat Earth is breaking wide open. It's I guess the big boss of conspiracies. You know, once you've fought all the little ones, you come to the big boss at the end, and this is it. When you first understand flat Earth, you can't talk to anybody about it because they still think it's this medieval nonsense because of the programming. Your second worksheet when you're at school is, this is the orbit of the planets. These are the planets. These are what they're called. They're in the sky, blah, 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 and the Earth turns. Second worksheet. So you can't talk, you know, once you understand it, once you get it, it's hard to talk to people who don't understand it. So the Friend Finder was created so that flat Earthers can talk amongst themselves, as it were. So I would strongly suggest if you have £2.99 to spend, get it and watch the video. They do a video every day. The guy says, if you watch this video every day for 3 weeks, you'll be a flat Earther. It's very popular. It's becoming a very big subject. Lastly, they say, why the lie? Why the lie? And what, you know, everyone must be in on it. You know, like everyone must be in on it. And I say, when people say that, I say, well, you know, Amazon, the company Amazon, huge. Do you think the person on the mailroom floor knows anything in marketing or sales? Of course they don't. That's how you can hide things. The people in NASA, there was probably about 10 people that knew. That's it. Everybody else thinks it's real. So it's compartmentalization, same principle. But lastly, this guy, Wernher von Braun, Psalms 19:1. Okay. The grandfather of rocketry technology is leaving us a little bit of a breadcrumb. They do. They always have to reveal the method. It's revelation of the method. It's a thing. Psalms 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. There you go. The roof's on it. So what are they doing? They're hiding the creator of this place. There's no Big Bang. There's no evolution. They are hiding God. That is why flat Earth is so important. They spend billions to try and stop you from using your God-given senses. If they can convince you you're on a spinning ball in the middle of nowhere, you are very insignificant. It turns out you are in the center of creation. We're very, very important. That's why they spend so much money trying to lie to you. Thank you very much. That's it.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Ian. That was pretty mind blowing.
I'll stop the share and
Yeah, and then we can open it up
there you go.
to Q&A.
I skipped through a lot. I know it's a lot to take in. I didn't want to try and go over over it a little bit, but it's a very in-depth subject. It's a very spiritually awakening subject. It's a lot of information to take in. But like I say, you can all go and find this stuff. Get the app because it's all in there for you. Everyone's done the work. You can watch the videos and then discern all that stuff for yourself. But yeah.
Well, funnily enough, I'm going on an aeroplane in a couple of 3 weeks, I think. So I'll have a look at the.
Take a little spirit level with you. Take a little spirit level. If you're traveling at 500 miles an hour in a plane to go with the curvature of the Earth, you have to dip. I can't do the numbers because I've got it somewhere else. You have to dip your nose approximately a mile every 2 minutes. Just to go along the curve. You don't. It's called an airplane because it goes up in the air, flies along the plane, and goes down. It's not called an air globe. And look at the middle of the windows. From anywhere you go, you can check the horizon coming up. You can check how flat, how long it is. So yeah. Look at the nuance.
One question I've got is just in relation to the moon. Then, so it's like almost like a hologram, is it, rather than a? Is that the suggestion?
The honest answer, Henry, is we don't know. What we do know is it's not what they tell us. It's fairly obvious. It's not. The flat Earth gives you your God-given senses back, which is something they try and beat out of you from birth, so that you can fall into the system matrix that they have. You don't have to question. You're not critically thinking. You toe the line. You serve them. You die. That's fine. That's their business model. So when you understand the flat Earth, you're taking all of your power back. You're taking everything back, and you have to relearn. You have to relearn because someone's lied to me this much. And once you go through it, you realize how big the lie is and how deep it is. And you realize what we are and what we're supposed to be doing. And it identifies all of the system matrix, and it makes other conspiracies really easy to break down. So that's why it's important.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I was already in a position of just like being open-minded about everything, especially I think my sort of water break moment was 9/11, and then it's just like, if they can lie to you about that, and I started looking at the moon.
Exactly.
Has anyone else got any questions? Because it's such a big topic, but I mean, Ian's like, certainly an expert in this. So Rob's saying thank you very much, and he's got to drop out now. And Kat had a good message as well. Just
thanks, Kat. Well done for downloading the phone. I hope you get on with it. On the right hand side, you'll find all the tag buttons, but press the one with the videos. On the left hand side, there's an answer for every question. How do the seasons work? What's underneath? What are eclipses? Blah, 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 blah. How do the tides work? All of the questions that everyone has are answered.
Stella, you've got your hand up first.
Hi, Stella.
Hi, Ian. Thank you. That was wonderful. I took in more than last time. I have seen it before. I think you've changed a little bit, but
a few bits. Yeah.
It's very informative. Thank you. My question is, or I'm asking you really, if you can just show me that screen again with the aeroplane flight path from, say, Britain to South Africa, going via Dubai.
Yeah.
And I'm just asking that because one of the girls at work is going on Saturday, and she's going via Dubai. She's going to Cape Town. And when she was talking about it, it's been a few times, and I was just sat there the other day thinking, why do they go to Dubai? Why not just fly down over Africa? So can you just show me that again? And
I'm trying to find it.
Honest. Quite near the beginning, I think.
There was another odd one, wasn't there? Where it was going from, Australia to South America? And it
can
went
you see
right
what I've got up on the screen now or not?
No, not yet.
No, not at the minute.
If I just share screen again, if you just bear with me, hopefully you can see this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so
you can zoom in a bit more than that because we've got all the.
I don't know. I'll try it. I'm not sure. Oh, maybe a bit more.
Yeah, that's a bit better for.
Wait. Okay, there you go. Yeah, all of the flight routes are like this, all the long distance flight routes. They're insane. Like I say, on the app, if you get it, there's something on there called 16 emergency landings that prove the Earth is flat. And they're all, like I say, emergency landings when they're going to places like this and have to stop off, and odd. It looks completely odd where they're going. Why did they go all the way to there? They didn't. They're going in a straight line. If you look on the right hand side, that's the actual way. Planes don't waste money. They're not stupid people. They don't waste money and fuel to do 3 times the amount of miles the actual journey is. They're not, it doesn't work like that. The Mercator projection of the globe you see is utter nonsense, but it's bashed into you as early as they can possibly do. The other one we have was just another going back from Africa to Perth. If you look at the actual flight, obviously they'll stop over in Dubai for a pickup, but it's all straight. It's not, there's no ridiculousness like that. It's very, like I say, very similar to when they show you the weather on the news. If anybody watches the news anymore, they show you something about the jet stream. Have you seen it on the globe? It's like a W, ridiculous patterns. It's a flat circular stream. That's what it does. It makes no sense if it's doing W's and Z's and all erratic. It makes no sense at all. Nothing makes sense on the globe. And there is on that app, I think if you can provide any proof of a globe, any at all, it'll give you 3 Bitcoins. I think that challenge is still there. So yeah.
Well, there's quite a lot of YouTube, like you were saying, that it's censored on YouTube, because when you do search flat Earth on YouTube, I noticed you found a lot of people, debunking.
All you'll find since 2018 is hit pieces or mainstream media articles on it. You won't find any of the research. You won't find any of the stuff because it was censored. You can't let this topic get out to billions of people that they become. Oh my God, they all of a sudden start thinking for themselves and reclaim their power. They didn't want that. You have to censor these sorts of topics.
Have you been censored yourself? Sorry, I'm jumping in on it. You've got a question coming up, but have you been censored at all? For you?
Me, yeah, all the time. Mainly on social media platforms, but yeah, all the time.
Oh, well, yeah, they're all censorship controlled, aren't they? The main ones.
Everybody's censored on there now.
Stella, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I don't know if because you zoomed it out, I don't know if you bring it back in again, whether we can see where England is in relation to that, but I can see
not in relation
Australia.
to that.
No, it's just the Australia Dubai, Johannesburg there.
I can give you a map to show you roughly where we are. There's a map behind me, which I'll try. Well, here's an azimuthal equidistant map. Right in the center is the magnetic north. If you come down at 6 o'clock, you'll see the Little British Isles.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's how your world is. Like I say, it's the map that the USGS Geological Survey use. It's the maritime map. It's a cable and wireless world map. They all use this map. This map's on Air Force One, inside Air Force One. There's no globe. It's a control for your mind.
Kat, you've got your hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, hi Ian, thank you for that.
Hi.
It just ended up with a lot more questions than answers, as I'm sure
It
you can
generally
imagine.
does.
Because I've done a lot of research, not necessarily on flat Earth, but other things that somehow seem related. And it's interesting that you showed that image of the moon, I guess, on a track or camera track to go around whatever they had set up. What do you think about Elon Musk and the Tesla he launched into space? Did you ever see the video footage of how the camera glitched out?
You did,
Earth?
right? And you saw the frame before it went out into pretend space of the step ladder there. It was still in the, they didn't get their cutting right. They had the step ladder, box of tools, the doorway. It's insane. No, he did not launch anything. No one goes to space. The only thing that goes to space are the balloons with satellites on. Rockets go from Cape Canaveral or wherever. And if you honestly think SpaceX can land on a platform in the sea, go up and come back down, you really have to understand aerodynamics, weight distribution, and density. It's impossible, never happens. And every time you see it go up, it looks great. And then the flames come down and there's about 1 million cuts, camera cuts. And the next thing you see is, wow, it's landed. It's insane. It's exactly the same with it. NASA are the biggest importers of helium in the world, the biggest importers of helium. The reason they're importance of helium is because of twofold. They send all of their satellites up in weather balloons, which require helium, and the rockets you see, some of them are blimps. They don't send anything to space. If you look on the app, there's some stuff about a rocket section and launches where you see the rubber type of stuff just falling down, rocket shaped. It's rubbish. It's insane. It's not real. And the thing is, with all of the stuff from NASA and space and everything else, it's all being peeled back very, very slowly and very, very confidently by a lot of people. Everyone's waking up to it. But this is one of the hardest ones because it's the earliest program, one of the earliest programming things you get. And don't forget, you're brought up with a diet of TV and sci-fi, and we all want that to be real. We want space to be real. We love Star Trek and Star Wars, and that's the part of the process, you know. But it's not. Sorry, roof on it. No one goes to space.
Dave, you've got your hand up.
I was just wondering if you could say a little more about why they would make such a huge effort to maintain, you know, if this is all why.
Well, before
Okay.
yeah, no worries. Before the Antarctic Treaty, and in the 1800s, you could hot air balloon, the Zeppelins, everything was hot air balloon. You could go anywhere. People were making their own hot air balloons. They had enormous hot air balloons, first class dining. You were unrestricted in the plane. Back in the 1600s, where they were probably still doing balloon flight, is one of the reasons why the Urbano Monte map has different lands rather than a cold circular Antarctica, because it was allowed to go unrestricted. There's plenty of maps with differences than the Antarctic ice wall. They stop you from traveling there. There's no point in them traveling. There's no point in you trying to travel there because it's patrolled by the military. There are, I think, 8 islands around our disc-shaped pond. Obviously, the Falkland Islands. It has the largest runway, and it's the nearest point between there and the Antarctic ice wall. It's nothing to do with anything you think it was or why we should afford it. It's to maintain control of that airstrip to be the nearest point to Antarctica. That's it. And there's 8 islands around. They're all owned by the UK, by the way, which present a stopping point for any traffic going. There's plenty of videos. There's a couple of videos of some guys in Australia went south on a fishing trip. They carried on going, and they were talking about it, and it's in the video, and they carried on going, and it's all going through the thing. They're saying, they're coming for us, they're coming for us. And warships appear, helicopters appear. You cannot go below the 60th south parallel. Hundreds of people have tried it. Jarls Landerhoy, independent sailor, got turned back, got arrested, in fact, got arrested, sent back. Crazy stuff. One day we'll go. But the reason they hide it is because they're hiding A, more land, B, the fact that it was created and it's not Big Bang. They're hiding God. This is God's creation. This is a center of the universe. That's what they're putting so much money and effort into hiding. But more land specifically.
Thanks, Dave. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Kat, you've got your hand up.
Thank you. If you are certain that the Earth is flat, what about the other planets out there? I know we've got satellites, but now you're saying the satellites aren't real. So this is a heavy investment in fooling the public since the days of the Bible.
NASA gets $61 million a day. And they have done for years.
So I can see this. I can see this as part of a money laundering scheme.
Always follow the money.
Yeah. Well, and then this, like you said, with Disney, the sex that's tied in there, the subliminal messaging. I was about to post another article about something similar, which shows that this is a big deception and we have to learn discernment. So what do you think? The time right now when things are changing, are we about to have this exposed because of this 26,000 year cycle, the precession of the equinox, and we're starting over kind of a deal?
Maybe, yes, the precession of the equinoxes. We are moving into the age of Aquarius. It's a 2,120 year snap, isn't it, each time? I can't remember. But the full precession is 25,000 years or whatever. Yes. Is it going to be exposed? No is the answer. No, you can't. This is the, like I say, this is the big boss of conspiracies. This is the one that breaks everything down. They've lied so much about everything. If you get this, you take all the lies down and you take all your power back. So you literally unplug yourself from the matrix. The heliocentric model, the heliocentric nonsense you talk, is the matrix that they want you in. And you know, understanding flat Earth. Listen, flat Earth is not for everyone. When I looked at it first, I thought, well, who is this stupid? What's this medieval nonsense appearing? Then you take a little look. And one of the things that got me was Polaris, funny enough. I heard someone say, well, Polaris doesn't move. I'm thinking, that's bloody stupid. Even if it doesn't move, we move and we go around it, you know. And then I looked, I thought, what? Why do I see that same star every night? Why do I see the plough every night, all year round? Sure, and they tell us we're traveling about 4 billion miles or whatever it is every year in a straight line somewhere. But all the stars stay the same. All the stars stay the same. It's just about regaining your divinity, your spirituality, and your senses, and your God-given senses, because that's the thing that you need to get back to get your logos, your logic. It's a thing. You have to have it back. You know, when you stand on the pavement outside, you're not spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and you're not traveling at 66,000 miles an hour, regardless of pretend gravity or anything. But you are tricked into believing that you are moving, and you don't think about it anymore because science said it. So that's fine. Science said it. Done. Why would it change my life?
I've just got one more question. Just a friend of mine mentioned they were sort of looking through a telescope in the outback in Australia, thinking that, you know, so it was perfect for viewing planets. So when you're seeing like your planet from Earth, is that a bit like a star, or like you were showing the stars?
Well, you've seen the pictures of the stars. We showed some of the videos of being colorful frequency points of light. The wandering stars, or the planets, are, we went through them at the end, they're just opaque versions of those twinkling stars. They're not rocks, they're not terra firma, they're not planets. You can't go to them. They're within our atmosphere, probably within the dome structure. We don't know. They move independently, and they are not quadrillions of miles away. That's all we know. But they're definitely not rocks, and you definitely can't get to them.
Is there any proof? Sorry, I'm jumping in a view cap, but is there any proof of the firmaments that you've come across? Or
yes, yes, there is lots of proof of the firmament. Go and get the app. There's a whole section of it. There's a GoPro rocket went up in I think 2017. Every time you see a rocket launch and you see that blue sort of thing, you see it hitting the thing, it looks like it's a blue motorboat. You know, you look at a motorboat on the sea and it's going along, it's providing a wake. When you see rockets hit the firmament, it does exactly the same thing. And there's a GoPro Go Faster video, you can probably still buy it, where it goes straight up. Bearing in mind, NASA rockets go over like that. They never go up in the sky. They go over and land in the sea, in the Bermuda Triangle. They'll take off from Cape Canaveral, bang. The Bermuda Triangle was created so that they could have unfettered access to get the stuff out. Turns out they haven't got everything. There's a few videos of divers going to see it all. So they don't go anywhere. So, sorry, what was the question?
It was just about if it's like sort of proof of the firmament, like
the firmament or the rakia is in biblical scripture, in every ancient scripture you care to go and research. The Go Fast rocket goes up. This is what I'm saying. All rockets of NASA go over. Proper rockets, amateur rockets, will go straight up. A bullet you shoot in the air is 1,700 miles an hour. You can't see it. They expect you to think that it's the spaceship, this whole rocket thing, is going to get to 25,000 miles an hour and break pretend Earth's gravity or whatever. It doesn't. It goes over, falls down. When you see the rocket take off, it's really slow. It's rubbish. When you see a proper rocket go, it goes up. And a Go Faster Pro rocket goes up and it stops. Bang, no momentum. You can hear it go kaplunk. No linear forward momentum. It stops, slides out, falls down. It stops for a while, a long while. There's something up there that we can't get past. And when you see some of the rockets go up and you see them look like it's motorboating or motorboarding, and there's plenty of those videos, by the way. That's what it is. It's some kind of liquid, electromagnetic liquid that's held up. It's a rakia, it's a firmament, it's a dome ceiling, perhaps. It's one of those things, but there's a roof. That's it.
I'm sorry, apologies, Kat. I jumped in front of you there. I think you had a question. Should we make this one of the last ones, by the way?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just-
it's getting on, guys.
just-
I thank you for your time. Thanks for
Yeah, thanks so much, Ian, for
bearing
your
with it.
time as well. And yeah, so Kat or Stella, whoever wants to go next. Kat, you were
That
first,
was
but
first.
unless if you had
Hey,
a question.
yeah, I'm having trouble getting my mic to unmute. Go ahead, Stella, because I've kind of lost my train of thought.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just going to ask you, and you made reference to a YouTube channel with all
Yeah.
the moon stuff. Could you just give me the
Listen,
name of that
there
again?
are lots of really good researchers, really good. Too many to mention. Please go and see Eric Dubay. Any work by Eric Dubay? All the work by Jeranism.
What's that? Sorry.
Jeranism. Jeranism.
Right.
But I have to say, the best work, without doubt, or the best concentration for the work is the app. You know, it really is. It has all the resources from all of the best researchers in one place. So it's probably, I know it's £3. I don't know if it's free just for that bit, but that's the best place to start, or start going down the Flat Earth YouTube trail if you can, with the people that I've told you. And off of those people, you'll get more videos selected for you. So hopefully you'll stay within that arena and not get censored and with hit pieces and things.
Yeah. And for those people on here who weren't here last year on that, we did have David on last year. He gave a talk, which is recorded. So if anybody wants to look at David's talk, David is the one who has that app. He's devised that app, hasn't he? So
yeah, or you can go
actually it's uploaded on
www.flatearthDave.com. That's the best way.
Yeah, it's actually uploaded onto there, isn't it? So yeah, lots of videos on there of him talking about it. Thank you.
Sorry.
And Kat, you've got this on record, haven't you? So well, the sort of the link to download the recording, am I right in thinking that'll go on the Prepare for Change website?
Yeah. What I might have to do is see if Richard can link the two videos together since it got interrupted. That way we can share it for anyone who requests it. Ian, if I could get your email through Henry, then I'll send you a copy so you can share it.
Okay. Is this?
So I'm going to stop recording right now, though.
Okay, great.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Ian. Thanks a lot for your time.